We have Mr. Zhang Kejian, Vice Minister of Industry and Information Technology, Mr. Liu Guoqiang, Vice Governor of the People's Bank of China, Mr. Tang Jun, Vice Minister of State Administration for Market Regulation, and Mr. Xiao Yuanqi, Chief Risk Officer of China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission. They will talk about the issues on supporting the development of macro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and enhancing facilitation for self-employed traders, and also take your questions. Now the floor is yours, Mr. Zhang. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, good afternoon. The SMEs are the most energetic group in the market and also the key force in the market. They are also the key foundation for China's economic development. As I said, the SMEs with the largest numbers in the market. Talking about its numbers, according to our latest information from the fourth survey in China since 2008, the number of entities reached 18.07 million, taking up 99.8% of all kinds of the enterprises owners. So we talk about the stabilized the SMEs that can also contribute to the stabilization of the China economic development. That is why we touch great importance on the impact imposed by the COVID-19 outbreak to SMEs. And also General Secretary Xi Jinping also touched great importance on how to better support the SMEs and also should let the policies to run at the front and in advance to help SMEs. And Premier Li Keqiang also said we should establish a specific mechanism to help the enterprises, especially the private and small and macro-sized enterprises, for them to overcoming the difficulties. And in the State Council's meeting, also have a contemporary the extension policies for the SMEs and also have the preferential bank loans to SMEs. And we also strengthen our efforts to help the SMEs to mitigate the impact on the SMEs. As the MMT has earnestly implemented decisions and deployment of CPC Central Committee and State Council, and also to play the role as the coordination office of interagency mechanism, we studied into details and study on the impact on SMEs, and also work with localities and the ministries at all different levels and release a set of policies in terms of the fiscal policy, taxation, and financial policies. For example, Ministry of Finance also gradually lowered the taxations on the SME owners, and we also have the finance guarantee premium policies as well as the bank loans with discount interest rate, and we also work with the PBOC and had a specific refinancing loans with 3 trillion RMB, and the CBIRC also had policies in terms of the bank loan to SMEs, and also can help them to extend the loan period and will not withdraw or stop the loans given to SME owners. And we also strengthen our support to the self-employed traders. MIT also initiated policies including 6 sectors and 20 terms to help the SMEs back to work. We also had the telecommunication, the phone conversations and the meetings to discuss how to resume the work in an orderly way for the SMEs. In the recent days, we have released a set of meaningful and practical measures and laid a solid foundation for SMEs to resumption of work in an orderly way. And also we have seen some progress in this regard. So far, more than 30% of SMEs already started their work. In order to let all these provincial policies produce its benefits to SMEs, and also all these policies are available to the public, we have the policy tools and also work with the available internet service providers and open a specific page so the SMEs owners can find the policies, implement the policies, and enjoy the benefits. Therefore, I also would like to take this opportunity to call on our media friends to make more coverage and educate the public, let them know these policies are valuable. So coming forward, we will also work with the other ministries and also play a key role in interagency mechanism and also conduct a clarified zoning resumption of work and also help to deal with the difficulties SME facing and let them to overcome the difficulties and enjoy a sustainable development. Thank you. And the floor to Mr. Liu. Friends from the media, good afternoon. Facing a grave challenge imposed by the COVID-19, the PBOC, led by the Xi Jinping, sought in socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era, we earnestly implement the deployment of CPC Committee, and the General Secretary also mentioned that we should control the epidemic and maintain social and economic stability at the same time. A set of policies and measures are targeted. First, we had a specific measure to stabilize supply. We had a 3 trillion RMB to support the key impacted policies and also provide the provincial bank loans to the hard-hit enterprises to support the enterprises and producers of anti-epidemic products manufacturers. And we also have already implemented these policies. Right now, the cost is 1.28% of bank loans and also lower than the State Council's rates. Before, the loan requirement is 1.6%. Right now, we reach it at 1.28%. And we conducted the ripple to increase the liquidity in the market that help to stabilize the financial market. Right now, we already had got all these reverse ripple back in terms of the short-term liquidity. So before we release a big amount of the ripple in the market, right now we already collect them back, but we still need to make sure it's sufficient liquidity in the market. For the open market ripple and the medium and long-term bank loans should be all facilitated, and we're also lowering the loans in this regard by 10 basic points. For 1 year and 5-year bank loan, the market price LPR decreased by 10 and 5 basic points, and also bring the LPR to a lower level, and we also have different ways release the papers, the media coverage, the interviews to let the public understand our fiscal policies and also our methods in the place, and let the enterprises and the market understand why we have the policy in place and how they can benefit from it. And make sure amid this special period, the liquidity are sufficient and reasonable, and the financial market can operate in a reasonable range. And we also lower the LPR and the 7-day ripple rate at a 2.2%. The bond market right now also have seen a stable growth, and the bilateral exchange rate between RMB and US dollars is also stable, and we have seen a good acknowledgement from the market and also the high recognition from the IMF, the World Bank, and international community. The impact imposed by the epidemic is short-lived and temporary. We have enough room for maneuver and to stimulate the good economic growth. The PBOC followed the 83rd State Council's executive meeting. We will implement further our policies to support SMEs in terms of resumption of work and give them more credit support. SMEs are the key force in terms of stabilizing employment and economic development. They are our key focus because they're also closely related to whether we can hit the economic target for this year. Right now, we know they have the difficulties in terms of enough resources for opening, and also have a big pressure on the currency. So we give a certain level of provincial policies to support SMEs, to let them unleash their potentials. I believe this is also conducive to realize a sustainable development in economic and in economy, and also stabilize in employment. We will also use open market measures, medium and long-term bank loans to fulfill the financial institutions, give more liquidity to the SMEs, lower the financing costs, and also stabilize the financial market operation, and also make sure the macroeconomic leverage ratio stable, make sure the stable price in the market, and also to get a balance between the stabilizing economic growth and the epidemic prevention and control. And we let the market play its role, and also based on the law and regulations, so we will release the measures to support SMEs, and we also have a name list of the SMEs to know exactly why they apply the loans and how they will use the loans. So amid these special occasions, a lower cost of finance can channel to the key anti-epidemic manufacturers, and also the bank loans. It's 5 trillion RMB that with discounted interest rates. For the companies with red conditions, we will also let them enjoy the policies, and we will also lowering the refinancing cost by another 0.25 basic rate. Before is 0.75. Right now is 2.5%. And third, we will also synergize the power pooled from all the financial institutions. We talk about the low cost of the inclusive bank loans. Right now, we look at the lowering of costs that's really helpful to the SMEs. In coming forward, the inclusive policies will also unleash the cash to let the larger size of banks to play a key role, and for commercial banks, they will also play a key role in filling in the weak line, and will also provide a specific financing loans, and also the loans with a discounted interest rate to support SMEs resumption their work. The local authorities also a key force to support SMEs. PBOC support the bank loan with low cost, make sure they have some source to get finance. And we also play a key guidance to lead the work. Coming forward, a stabilized fiscal policy will focus on the flexibility, and we will also support our work to the real economy, and we will stabilize the expectations, and also targeted the measures will go to our key focus, and will also to do a good job for all these policies can have a well implementation to the letters, make sure we have a stable fiscal taxation and financial policies, make sure the epidemic had a small impact to the economic development, and make sure we can hit the target set for this year. Thank you, and I give the floor to Mr. Xiao. Friends from the media, good afternoon. Since the outbreak of the epidemic, CBRC has earnestly implemented the key instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping under the leadership of CPC Central Committee and State Council. We do a good job on controlling the epidemic and maintaining social and economic stability, especially our efforts weighed to the SMEs to help them win the battle against the epidemic. First, we give more credit support to the hard-hit regions and the companies for the manufacturers to produce the medical supplies, and we will fulfill their credit requirements. And we also have the low cost and also the low interest rate of the refinancing. As of yesterday, we have provided a 953.5 billion RMB. And the second, we also provide a differentiated financial support. And we also extended the loan interest payback period and also have more policies in terms of a medium and long-term loan period. With all different available resources, will help the SMEs to overcome the difficulties. For Hubei province, we will also screening and load the full picture and knowledge of the situation in Hubei, and will also have the conducted the automatic extension of the period of loan paying back, and also extended the payback of the credit card. As we know, in the recent days, because of the epidemic, some people cannot pay back the credit card on time. So bank also will take that into consideration. So for the people infected by the epidemic, especially the individuals, we also have special occasion and scheme to help them pay back at a later stage. And we also donate the supplies to hard-hit regions. Right now, we have donated 2.5 billion RMB goods. And next time, we will release more policies to guide the SMEs, to let them better utilize the resources, and also strengthen our KPI, and also strengthen our support to SMEs, make sure the banks increase in a reasonable manner, amid the epidemic for the inclusive loans lowered by 0.5 basic points to SMEs. And fourth, we let the insurance institutions to play its role. And we also have the green channels available for the insurance claim settlement. And for the individuals, the customers impacted by COVID-19, they will be treated as our top priority. For the cars that's because of the COVID-19 cannot pay the car insurance on time, and we also will extend the payment period. For medics on the front line, they will also get a free insurance. Right now, the insurance institutions donate insurance policies more than 1.57 billion RMB. The claim settlement right now achieved 760 billion RMB, and make sure the urgent case will always touch great importance, and also the special cases were treated as special with special methods. So for the services, sometimes the customer, because right now the epidemic, they cannot really go to the face-to-face service. So the customers ask us whether they can do their business online. So we also ask the banking and insurance institutions first to stabilize this whole internet system, so the customers can enjoy countless services. And for the customer that got used to this internet service, especially the elderly people, they have some difficulties to get access to the internet service, and we also conduct a phone conversation to help them to use our services. And if they need to go to our service places to conduct face-to-face service, and we also should do a good job on disinfections, make sure all customers are well protected. Going forward, CBRC will earnestly implement the decisions and the deployment of CPC Central Committee and State Council, and do a good job in stabilizing the economic and social development to make sure our policies is practical and also produce tangible benefit and defend the fund off the risk. Thank you. And the floor is yours, Mr. Tang. Friends from the media, good afternoon. According to the policies and deployment of CPC Central Committee and State Council, as AMR work with the relevant ministries, had our suggestions in terms of policies to help the self-employed traders, and also have already approved by state councils. Here, I would like to share with you some information and also welcome any questions in this regard. The State Council attached great importance on the self-employed traders' development. General Secretary Xi Jinping also mentioned that we should maintain a stable economic and social development. We should also that the trader plays role in providing more jobs and contributing to the economic development. And Premier Lee also mentioned we should release the policies and measures in a swift manner to help self-employed traders in order to implement the General Secretary's requirement on controlling the epidemic and maintaining social and economic stability on February 25th. On top of doing a good job on containing efforts, we made the policies and deployment on civilizing and facilitating self-employed traders. For traders, they are a good contribution. They made a good contribution to create more jobs. The total number of self-employed traders is 831.3 million, taking up 67.1% of all market entities, and solved nearly 200 million people's jobs. Because of the epidemic outbreak, right now we know they face a prominent difficulties. So how to help the self-employed traders cope with the challenges and support them to get back to work in an orderly manner? It is conducive to stabilize job, provide more tangible benefits to the people's living standards and economic development. Under this context, the State Council and SAMR decide to issue more policies and measures to help them. First, regarding resumption of work, we had a classified, precise, and zoning policies by different industries, different type of the owners and traders. We would take policies to meet their requirement.
We will work to restore the operation in different ways and ensure the access to workers and materials. Second, we will help to lower the operational cost. Reduction of contribution to the social securities, VAT cards, and other operational fees. We will also encourage.
And third, we should also have the public areas available so they can free from the registration cost. And we will also have more policies to let them deal with the a supply of water, electricity, so they can still enjoy the supply of electricity, gas, water, will pay the fees later. And we'll also work with other authorities and the internet platform to give more support to SMEs and self-employed traders. Going forward, we will work with related authorities to make an action plan to make sure all these policies and measures can produce its effect, and also make sure we can do a good education work so the self-employed traders know we have these favorable policies and measures in place and they can enjoy these measures and policies. We also put emphasis on our work that should be proactive to help the self-employed traders. Thank you. Now the floor is open. Please identify your media affiliation before raising questions. CMG CCTV. Right now, all the people are pitching in to fight the war against COVID-19. My question to PBOC, so what kind of work are undergoing to fight against the epidemic and what's your focus on economic development trajectory? Thank you very much. That's a very good point. PBOC, amid the special occasion And we make the swift actions and also take the targeted actions to support the enterprises resume their work in an orderly manner. First, we enlarge the ripple from the open market and also facilitate the medium and long-term loans and also lower the cost 10 basic points. The labor market's interest rate also decreased. That also bring the whole LPR decreasing and also help the liquidities and stabilizing the market. Right now, look at the short-term liquidity. Right now, we already got all this ripple back, and the liquidity right now is still sufficient and reasonable. And we also said 3 trillion refinancing loans available as give to the policy banks and 10 hard-hit banks in Hubei. So that's our perceived measures to help them to fight against epidemic. Talk about this 300 billion RMB we give to 9 policy banks and also 10 regional banks. So how the banks use this kind of loans? These for the anti-epidemic manufacturers like the produce disinfection, the protective suits, goggles, gloves. So these are the recipients. So we give the loan to the banks, and the banks have the name list to how to allocate the amount of the loans to the anti-epidemic manufacturers. So with all these policies actually laid solid foundation for us to win the battle against COVID-19 as of February 25th. 1,008 companies got the loans, and the actual rate after discounted interest rate is 1.28%, lower than 1.6% set by State Council. Right now, the LPR at around 2.2%, stable. The bond market, we have seen some fluctuation, but overall in a stable manner. So that's the stock market and bond market. For all these measures targeted epidemic, got a good acknowledge from the society, and we will also have the feasible and the physical policies and put the more efforts on the real economy, and we also have the classified measures to make sure the other policies can implement it well and to give a good support to the SMEs, and we will lower the impact on our economy as much as possible and to reach the economic target as set. And further, we will better utilize the existing policies in place. The policies in place we should better utilize and let them to play its role. And for the refinancing loans, we would like to channel them more to the SMEs. And we will also to use the comprehensive tools like the Ripple open market operation, and also like the inclusive loans to release more liquidity and benefit SMEs. Going forward, we will also conduct more policies to release the flexibilities. Some banks, their inclusive service reached the target, but they should continue their work to conduct more policies under the inclusive finance. And we will also carry out the reform on LPR and to better stabilize and adjust the market interest rate. And also at the same time, we should also release new policies, especially focus on resumption of work and also refinancing loans with the discounted interest rates, and also classified banks have different policies and different loan standards for SMEs, and get the financial institutions to give more credit to the SMEs, and also encourage banks to utilize in different ways to inject capitals and find the new ways for finding available tools. Right now, we give the banks low-cost capitals. So the small and macro banks mitigate the cost. But when I talk about refinancing, there is another factor, is their principles. Therefore, we should inject more capital funds to support the small and the macro banks so they can have a stronger credit capability to support SME and real economy. Thank you. Xinhua News Agency. For the industries and companies impacted by COVID-19, so what's the regulations and policies we have in place in terms of the NPL tolerance? For SMEs, they are less resilient to fight against COVID-19. So how you focus that how many companies are affected by COVID-19 and how you can support them. Thank you very much. So we make our decisions considering the following areas. For hard-hit regions and companies, we encourage the banks and financial institutions. Started from January 25th to June 30th, the expired loans are allowed to be expanded or renewed. So make sure we can do a good job on principal and interest extension. And this is a temporary plan in place. The largest extension period is to June 30. And for a few of group of companies that are hard hit by the epidemic and also themselves or their industries with some specific features, so they are allowed to extend the payment period or even to a longer time period. Second, we have a special arrangement to Hubei province. So they have a temporary extension scheme, and for SMEs, this beginning under the scope right now, the SMEs and large-scale companies all enjoy this policy. And at the same time, we also encourage banks and financial institutions to give a favorable measures to refinancing loans. So talking about the financial tools and also the performance evaluations should also be more weighted to SMEs. And we also require banks and financial institutions to learn better about the needs from the companies. And we also will simplify the approval process and increase the efficiency. And we'll also give more powers to the branches of banks. So make sure that the banks have the credit requirements can all be met. Especially, we will also increase the proportion of medium and long-term period loan issuing, and also we will increase the number of recipients applying the loans for the first time. For the hard-hit companies and industries, on top of the temporary expansion payment period, we should also notice that our focus should go to the companies and industries hard hit by the COVID-19. Before the epidemic, this SME operated well and also with a bright future. We talk about before epidemic, the SME already had the financial difficulty, or they're not that promising. They are not our focus. And second, we should know and monitor the risk levels. We should prevent the companies on a free. And third, we should focus more on actions, not sayings. So we should really conduct an on-field visit to look at their actual needs and difficulties. Talk about their capitals and the accumulated interest rate payment. Banks should not lower the levels of the customers. So they should follow the original categorized standards of their customers, and their credit information should not be changed. After the epidemic, the SME is back to operation for a while, but still have difficulties to pay back the loans and interest, and then we should follow the standards and the legal manner. And this is your first question. To your second question about how to identify the SMEs facing difficulties, what's the standards or criteria in place? First, we look at by industries. The key industries actually are the wholesale and retail sectors, catering, tourism, the entertainment, recreation, logistic, transportation. So these are obvious impacted industries and companies. So they are also our key focus by the banks and financial institutions. If we look at by region, Hubei, of course, is epicenter of the outbreak. And the surrounding regions around Hubei are also our key focus of our endeavor. Look at the upstream of companies. If we look at the upstream or downstream companies belong to the hard-hit region or industries. So we talk about the leading companies or upstream, low-stream company, they all hard hit. So we look at by industry, by region, and also by upstream, downstream industries and companies. These are our criteria in consideration. Of course, we should also look at the case by case. We should look into the details based on their real situation. That is also the requirement we give to the banks and the financial institutions. So we have a standardized criteria, but they also need to learn the full knowledge of each different single industries and companies to give a targeted measures and financial support to help them overcome the difficulties. Thank you. With CMG, we talk about the self-employed traders that face severe challenges. Do we have any policies in place to help them? I will take your questions. I already introduced some measures in place in my opening remarks, and the State Council will also release a set of policies and measures. All of these should first fit in their actual needs, can really help them to solve the issues they are facing right now. In the recent days, through different ways, we conducted surveys to understand the difficulties in counting our self-employed traders. They are facing the following issues. First, resumption of work. They cannot start to do business, which means they cannot to make revenue. And second, their fixed costs are quite big. Besides the headcount cost, need to think about rentals and also the cost for waters, electricity. So talk about utilities actually takes up 50% of their total cost. For larger catering size companies, the utility cost takes up 15 to 20% of their total cost. Talk about the hair salons, the apparel companies, the grocery stores. Utility costs reached around 30%. And also we look at their cash flow and a tight and balance. Of course, there are also other difficulties. Therefore, the State Council has issued the precise measures to help them to cope with these difficulties. For resumption of work in an orderly manner, we emphasize that we should conduct our work in a categorized zoning manner. So should by different industries, mode of business, to carry out our policies, and also the companies come back to work in a well-orderly way, to lowering their operation costs. The SAMR also work with other authorities to issue the policies and the measures. As PPOC just introduced, they will increase the credit loans to support the traders. Talking about the social insurance, the self-employed traders, they pay the social insurance following the company category. They will enjoy the preferential policies such as exemption or reduction of a certain amount of social insurance payment. And for the VAT, the SME taxation started from March 1st to the end of May. Companies in Hubei province are waived. For other companies in other places, the taxation decreased from 3% to 1%. Talking about rentals, for self-employed traders, this is actually a big amount of cost. The State Council required the localities to formulate the deduction policies, especially to the SOEs and the government units. They should act as a leading role to cut the rentals to the self-employed traders. The government-led industrial parks, incubation parks, should also release certain policies in this regard. For market access, the SAMR also will facilitate the registration service, and we will also provide the internet service for registration. And we also ask the localities a negative list so we can maximize the utilization of available resources. For the financial report of SMEs, they should make their report by the end of June, and we also extend the time period to the end of this year. talking about the service support to the SMEs. And for the enterprises, they have difficulties to pay the utilities, and they can still enjoy the supply of utilities and pay at a later stage. For the industries, hard hit industries such as the accommodation and catering, and they can enjoy the phased favorable policies. And we also work with the different associations, as well as Association of Industry and Commerce, to work together to conduct the exchange events to help the self-employed traders and SMEs to overcome the difficulties, and also to lower the threshold for the SMEs and traders, and also utilize internet to help them to expand their scope of business. Reuters, 2 questions. For SMEs not resume their work yet, and what's the situation? Do you have any number in this regard? For the small and micro banks in the provinces, whether they are capable enough to support SMEs? Give this question to CBIRC. Thank you very much. As I just introduced, the SMEs, they are actually the largest number of entities in the market, and they are in the different provinces. In order to get a better knowledge of them, actually, it's not an easy job to know the full picture. But recently, we conduct a survey regarding resumption of work among SME. And we also rely on the internet institution to help us to make a focus and study by using the advanced technology such as big data. We conducted 2.2 million enterprises using the cloud platform. And with a set of policies implemented, the resumption of work percentage of SME not high enough, but we see some good changes. First, we see more companies coming back to work. On February 26, 23.8% of companies coming back, 3.2% higher than the day before. And if we look at the manufacturing, so led by the larger scales in the industrial chain, a small size of manufacturers came back. The number on February 26 is 43.1%, 6.2 percentage point higher than the previous day. So it's fair to say that the SME in manufacturing industries, because it's led by the leading company, so you can see more manufacturers come back to work. And we also talk about the online, the education, the information transmission software sectors. We also have seen more than 40% of the companies in these sectors already start their work. We see a number increase by 1 percentage point every day. More than 7 provinces, more than 40% of SMEs restart their work. We believe the conducive measures will help SMEs to a certain extent help the SME to solve some difficulties. But still, that said, compared to the large companies, the SMEs not strong enough and not have a strong resilience to fight against COVID-19. They also have more difficulties, and because of the epidemic, they've had fewer orders received, the cost increased, tightened cash flows. So the cash flow and the supply chain are the two urgent difficulties faced by the SMEs. So the SMEs really want to go back to work, to make profit, to solve the issues. But still, the epidemic also have that potential risk. So these actually are the two difficulties on the two fronts. Coming forward, CBIRC will act as the coordinator to work with the relevant authorities to do a good job in the following three areas. First, we'll speed up the categorized zoning targeted measures regarding resumption of work. We will let the local authorities to play more role in this regard, and also let them to release the targeted mechanism to help the SMEs, and also provide a door-to-door service, and to provide the epidemic supplies for them to go back work, and also to cut off unnecessary approval process, and also let the SMEs to resume work on different batches. And we will also send the liaison personnel. They will dispatch tomorrow to the different provinces to learn more knowledge about the SMEs and to know their issues. And also we should work cross-function, cross-province to solve the issues right now the SMEs are facing. And second, we should lower the burden on the SMEs amid the epidemic. We work with the relevant authorities to better implement the fiscal, taxation, and financial policies, and also that the government and the large-size enterprises to pay the loan back to the SMEs so they can have less the pressure on their cash flow, and also let the large-size companies to play a leading role. So the SMEs on their upstream and lowstream in the chains come back to work at an early date, and also to carry forward the utilization of internet, such as the cloud computing and internet platforms, so the SMEs can work online and also can do a remote service and operation. This is also a new type of business. Mr. Liu, regarding small and micro-sized banks, so LPR to 4.55%. So SME banks, whether they are capable to do so, I believe yes. So the cost of capital are actually quite low. So the fund granted from PBOC, and they will do refinance. The capital is 2.55, and they have around 200 BP spread. And we'll also conduct our MPA performance check, and also give them certain policies to support them. And we'll also work in detail to think about how we can have a more financial and fiscal policy to support small and macro banks. All in all, it's quite hard to give you 100% clear and confirmed answers. And we had the State Council executive meetings yesterday morning, and in the afternoon we initiated policies, and we just started policies. We have a really good action plan on the paper, but to talk about the actual implementation, we should give some time to see. And also I hope our media friends can also follow up the stories and also raise more the questions and also the improved suggestion to us. We